Yes everybody, how we doing? John here, and in all honesty, I'm still reeling from the Weeknd and the Weeknd going to see the Weeknd at the London Stadium, the second show, the July 8th show here in London, here in the UK. What an incredible experience. So I want to talk about the show itself, kind of like a review or our experience of what was a truly incredible concert experience. But also I want to talk about how we ended up at the show, and then I have some amazing clips from the show that I wanted to share with you. So honestly, when it came to this tour, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to go just because of the timings. This weekend's very close to my kid's birthday, and I didn't know if we were going to be doing something on this weekend for his birthday, which we did last year. And the Wembley show is actually on my birthday, but we're not in the country for that one, so I didn't think I was going to be able to go, so didn't pick up tickets. And then if you've been following the channel for a while, you probably know that the Weeknd himself, Abel, was kind enough and mind-blowingly enough for me to shout me out on Twitter after I noticed he was doing the classic shades move. And that has led to a series of events, a chain of events that I can only describe as mind-blowing. Quite often I talk about the importance of putting yourself out there. And so after Abel shared that message, I thought, well, I'm going to DM him on Instagram. I'm 99.999% sure he will never see this DM, but I'm going to do it anyway. Why the hell not? So I simply sent him a message saying thank you for sharing it, that it was mind-blowing, and on the off chance of ever connecting when he came to London, I would love to do that. And within an hour, I had messages back. Unbelievably so. I'm not going to share specifics, of course, but this then led to an extremely kind and generous offer from Abel for me and my wife to come along to the July 8th show. So that's why I ended up there at the July 8th show at the London Stadium, seeing the Weeknd as his guest. Unbelievable. So eventually the time rolls around, I've got tickets in the inbox and I'm told that we've got some special passes waiting for us at the artists guest list booth at the ticket office. At this point, I'm just so mind blown by the whole thing. I don't even really know what to expect. So I won't go into the specifics of our journey up to London, but suffice to say, everybody that worked in the service industry that day at the train stations, outside the train station in Stratford, at the London Stadium itself, the vast majority of you, absolute nightmare. We ended up walking miles and miles and miles in incorrect directions and buying incorrect tickets and all sorts of things thanks to other people. But we did eventually make it to the stadium and were able to pick up these unusual passes. We didn't quite know what they did. They were labeled VIP in the email, but it turns out they were backstage passes. Now, not backstage that gets you behind the set or into the artist area, so I don't get everybody too excited at this point in the video, but access to pretty much everywhere else. And this is where I have to give a shout out to an absolute legend, a man called Geordie Wax, who runs Contrast, who have done a lot of the Weeknd's Vivo stuff and are working with him in other capacities. Somebody I've spoken to over DM over the last couple of years. And we actually met him and he showed us around backstage, showed us some elements of the set, and incredible production and unbelievable production. We'll go into that in a minute, and also explain kind of what these passes were and where they're able to get us. He also told us that exactly where the Weeknd would be coming out from his backstage area to the stage, and you'll see here he stood in this very specific area where nobody was. They could have gone here, the public could have gone to this point, but ultimately all you're seeing is like empty cases and just random bits of structure. But if you know, you know. And this was a really cool moment just before he goes on stage in front of 80,000 people. And like, we need to talk about the scale of this thing. Just to see that little moment of him coming up there, I wouldn't say he looked nervous, but like, you know, the adrenaline's going at this point. How could it not? And just that little moment, that little calm before the storm. So that was amazing to see that. And then as he disappears from our view, we leg it round to the side of the long platform stage, and the show starts in earnest. And yeah, sonically unbelievable, production unbelievable. But like I say, I will go into a review of the show in a minute. We're having a phenomenal time as it is in an amazing area with an amazing view. And as Abel moves down this platform, we kind of just move along next to him. Also, shout out to everybody who came and said hello, gave me a fist bump, had a photo as well. Awesome, love to see you all. And then we noticed, as we moved down, there were some people on like a raised part next to what looked like a sort of production area. And looking in, they looked VIP-ish. let's just say. And as we got closer to that, we were just enjoying the show. We had a great angle, but we were a little bit behind most of the crowd, so it was difficult to see certain things. And then I noticed that somebody came out of that VIP risen bit with the same pass that me and my wife had round our necks. So I thought, well, we might as well go and see if we can get up there. We walked towards that area, and before I even had to open my mouth, the door gets opened up, and suddenly we were on this incredible riser, as I think it's called, with, I would say, pretty much the best view. Outside of standing at the very, very front of the stage and looking up, I would say probably the best view, sort of up over the crowd, close enough to see everything, perfect placement in terms of sound, because I guess it had to be if the sound production was there. Also on this platform was right next to it like a huge camera, which I believe, my wife just reminded me of this actually, it was actually filming the live feed of the performance, which were on the big vertical screens, which were incredible. So anytime you couldn't quite see what was going on, obviously perfect for the crowd. One of the photographers was there as well, taking amazing shots. Yeah, so we watched probably 3/4 of the rest of the show from this platform, which gave us space, gave us this incredible view, and only added to what was already an unbelievable experience. Turns out we were stood centimeters from Peter Gabriel, who was, like you can see in this shot here, who was there. From what I understand, Metro Boomin, Skepta, a few other, I'm sure there's plenty of celebrities there. I don't know where they were, but they weren't on this platform with us, but the other people on this platform with us certainly they had the look of VIP people. I don't know who they were. Maybe if I wasn't so bloody old, I would. There seemed to be some other similar risers. Maybe they were there. I don't know. Already the maddest experience ever. And then we have to get into the show itself, which I have to say, listen, obviously I'm a fan, but it needs to be expressed quite how unbelievable a show this is. 2 hours, I swear he didn't even take a sip of water during these 2 hours, let alone any sort of break, any sort of intermission, any sort of featured artist or anything like that. And the energy he keeps up as a performer. Unreal. But just the production, the moon that changes colors and everything, the huge metallic statue, the staging, the huge platform, the incredible sort of steel structure at the back that has all the different elements. Obviously there's the Empire State Building there, St. Paul's, some other stuff that kind of represents the tour, I think. Costume, the mask, the mic stand, everything like that creates an atmosphere of like true superstardom that you don't really get very often in 2023. There's only a few artists ever that can really capture that and capture 80,000 people at once in the palm of their hand. But Weeknd has it from literally from the get-go, from the second that he rose up through the stage. And the set list is just ridiculous. Obviously, it's the After Hours Dawn FM tour. So I'm just going to say the vast majority of the songs come from that. I mean, obviously, you got all the big hits from those albums. But in all honesty, there was a great range of tracks from the past. He really is diving into the back catalogue, going back to Trilogy era and going back to Kissland. I mean, Tears in the Rain was there. We had Wicked Games, like a remix version of Wicked Games was there. House of Balloons itself was there. The Morning, and unbelievably, and you can see a clip of this at the end of the video, a long clip actually, one of my absolute favourite songs, if not my all-time favourite, which is Montreal. I actually thought about messaging him, asking him, just on the off chance that he could play Montreal, because I know he's been re-debuting different songs from the Trilogy era at each successive show. But I just couldn't believe it when it came on, and that was an incredibly special moment. But it was a set list filled with them. And if you're an old school fan and you're perhaps not quite as in love with some of the more recent music, I know everybody loves the recent albums, but you might not have the same connection with a Save Your Tears or a Blinding Lights or a Less Than Zero. The way that he have taken these songs and made them incredible moments. And realistically, as incredible as the old songs are, there are an element of the crowd that don't know them in the same way that the crowd knew the new tracks. And having 80,000 people go crazy with Blinding Lights and the setup and the lighting and everything like that, just unreal. In terms of probably the best song on the night, I think it has to be Call Out My Name. What they've done with that song, what Mike Dean has done to that song, what they've done from like a production element with the introduction of these synths that just sound like they're from some sort of like steampunk sci-fi church. I don't even know how they've elevated what was already an unbelievable track to what it is now. But his performance, the staging of it, amazingly, he put out footage of this. and 80,000 people singing along as well. Just astonishing. Like, to say chills would be an understatement. Like I said, I'm still reeling. I've run out of superlatives. But I just wanted to, before we go into the clips, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the interaction that I had. Unfortunately, I didn't get to meet the man himself, and I feel like with Speed and Ronaldo, perhaps that's something that will happen in the future. I hope so, because it would be magical to do that. But to even be in a situation where that could have happened is mind-blowing. And I did say to myself and to my wife when we were stood on that riser, from the conservatory to the VIP, has been just a crazy ride. So a massive thank you to all the EXO who supported these videos over the years, but of course a massive thank you to Abel. Listen, we have our favorite artists and our favorite celebrities. You never know what they're going to be like as people. In my previous role, Monster, and even in the video games world, I've met plenty of very famous people, and they've ranged in terms of how they are, and you don't expect that, like, people just are how they are in the moments that they are. But my interactions with Abel, with everybody involved in his team that I spoke to, and sort of the broader team that are working with him, had just an unbelievably beautiful energy, and you couldn't be, as a fan, happier. And speaking to other people around him, how important his fan base is. We know this anyway, we've known it for years, right? But it's true. How much he takes everything to heart, and how much the fan base actually inform what direction the career goes in. You can see that in the performance. This is a superstar performance. This was a performance of one man in front of 80,000, creating that atmosphere of what's essentially like an almost deity-like atmosphere, but never acting like that. The connection, even in those moments with the fans, as he's pointing out, as he's interacting, he's having very conversations with people on people's shoulders and stuff. And it's so real and so pure and beautiful. Along with the music, along with the production, along with the staging, along with everything that goes with it, that is the reason why he is where he is. And long may it continue, and long may it get to an even bigger and impossibly bigger level. Take it from me, in these brief interactions, and just an unbelievably beautiful human being. And I can only, from the bottom of my heart, extend the biggest gratitude to him, and of course his team, all of which are a credit to him for what was an absolutely unforgettable experience for myself and my wife Natalie. But if you get a chance to see the show, you have to make it happen. So yeah, I hope you enjoy some of these clips that we're going to play now, some of Wicked Games, and of course Montreal. Yeah, EXO till Yodi, baby. All right. Peace and love.
Just tell me you love me. pleurerai pas. Oui, je pleurerai, mais ces jours-là, je ne pleurerai pas. Je ne pleurerai pas. Oh, I guess you had no idea that you could have persuaded me. Girl, you could have had me doing anything you please. You should have taken your time and thought of what you said to me. And I'm not as hard as you made it seem to be. You could have been so many ways, so many ways you could go. And I wanna love me, but I'm alone. If you said that I won't go, the lucky comes that you wrote to me. Now you could have had it all. Give me that lonely stuff, just say oh. Oh, we could just went on. If we just went on, if we just went on. Laissez tomber les filles, laissez tomber les filles. Un jour ça sera notre. Laissez tomber les filles, laissez tomber les filles. Un jour c'est toi qu'on laissera. Oui, je pleurerai, mais ces jours-là, non, je ne pleurerai, non, je ne pleurerai pas. Oui, je pleurerai, mais ces jours-là, je ne pleurerai pas, je ne pleurerai pas.